Hey guys, welcome back to Nightly Chats, part 22. And actually, I want to talk about a new change to the titles from now on. And since I'm focusing more on writing, I do want to reflect that in my titles from now on. So, sorry. So instead of it being called Nightly Chats, they'll be called Nightly Writing. Since writing stories, I think it has a nice ring to it. But also, my titles will be a bit longer since I don't know why, but since the beginning of creating content, I always felt like my titles had to be super short. Like they had to be one word and then something to catch people's eyes. But then the more I looked at it, the more I looked into other people's writings. I mean, not writings, into other people's. Hold on, let me put you here to hold it down. The more I looked into people's titles, I've noticed that they're relatively pretty long, and I've always, I don't know why I put myself in that mindset of, oh, your title can be long because then people won't click on it. No, your titles can't be long because, yeah, I said it right the first time. Why did I don't know. If I put like a long title, people won't click on it, and it has to be short, compact, or some stuff like that. I don't know why. I just did. But I will start making my titles a bit longer from now on. And also, I wanted to say that I did really enjoy last night's writing, well, talking, where I talked about Senko, and I will talk about Senko more in this video, since his lore is not done, because I only talk about his backstory. And again, every character's backstory, the ones I discuss in these videos, can and probably will change. None of them are set in stone at all. If not, like even like Senko, which is a major character in my story, his backstory isn't set in stone. It's more fleshed out than other characters, but it's not set in stone, not by a long shot. So, I talked about this in a like a early video of mine. In my universe, there are things called blessings, and these blessings are basically how people have powers. I'll try and give a quick rundown. A blessing is given to a person by a deity. In my universe, there are concepts being beings whose entire existence is to not control, but to keep balance over broad aspects. I talked about this like a while ago, actually. There is 7 concepts in my world. There's life, death, light, darkness, hope, despair, and the void. The void is very different. The void isn't so much as a concept as he is a being. Where the void is everywhere and nowhere. He is the in-between of everything. So he doesn't really affect humanity or anything in the universe. He's just there as like as a foundation. The other concepts do affect life and everything in the universe because they keep balance over the broad aspects. For instance, like life keeps over balance of anything that has to relate with life. They deal with the broad aspects of the universe. But when it comes to very not detailed aspects, like very specific aspects, that's when the deities come in. Deities are basically just there to deal with the specifics. Not the specific parts of humanity and life. Like you have like some of the common ones. Again, none of these are set in stone. But like a big one would be like war or peace or order or chaos. Those, like, that's what I mean by a deity. Anyways, Senko was originally they're also being. I talked about this, but I want to talk about it again. There are people called chosen or chosens, basically individuals who are chosen by a concept, not by a deity. If you're blessed by a deity, you're just blessed by a deity. But if you're blessed by a concept, you are called a chosen. Chosens are a bit stronger than your average, person who has a normal blessing, because chosens are specifically chosen by a concept, by become to do something greater than like an average person with an average, well, not average, but with I'm tired, by a blessing. So, for instance, Senko was actually chosen by light, and he was given a blessing of order. He was supposed to like keep order in his lands. That's what he was. That's what his fate was. But because of his refusal to change, his fate changed. And so, instead of keeping order, he was almost killed, including all. Basically, this grand event, he because he refused to change, fate changed his ending, where he basically lost everything, his friends, his lover, and then was almost killed. Like, he was on, like, this close to death. But I did talk about this in the last video. His sword is made of a shard from the void, because in the past, like way long in the backstory of that leads up to this, the void. Man, I'll talk more about it in a specific video. But basically, all you need to know is that the void was shattered, because concepts cannot be killed. They can be shattered or consumed, but they cannot be killed. So he was shattered, and by some way or some form, one of his shards, one of the shards from the void, became the sword. They found a shard and they made it into a sword. And so now, the sword has been passed down. I talked about this in the last video, but it's passed down from generation to generation. Now to Senko, who got it not by. Again, I talked about this in the last video. I'm sorry. I don't want to repeat things, so I'll just brush over it. This sword was stabbed into Senko by this enemy that basically caused his friend's deaths. It almost his. And as he got close to death, he heard a whisper. And then when he opened his eyes, he was in literally a void. There was nothing. He was floating. There was no like light. There was just like there was literally, he was in nowhere. And he listened and he heard a voice again. This was void, the concept of everything and nowhere. And so Void gave him a offer, telling him that, well, he was going to die, and that he could save him, with a price, of course. The reason the Void gave him this offer is because, unlike the other concepts, where they all want to keep balance, Void is very much more human than the others. And so he never understood. Well, he did understood, but he never really enjoyed. I don't know how to explain it. Again, this is like when I stutter like this, not stutter, but when I'm not really sure, is when, because there's I haven't really wrote it out fully. None of these things are like fully written out, and I need to get onto that. But basically, he wants there to be change. He wants there, mainly because he just deems it as fun. He's a very much chaotic neutral, because he just does things for fun. And so he gives Senko this deal. I'll give you my blessing In return, you would allow me to basically become a part of you, a part of your body. Senko at this point, who lost everything, he literally has nothing to lose. He accepts the deal. I forgot to mention, but at this point, Senko lost his left arm during this battle specifically. He lost his left arm. I might make it that he loses it sooner during an early battle, but I'm still thinking about it. He loses his left arm, and so when he wakes again, his wounds are healed, everything's fine, and where his left arm would be after he lost it during the battle is now like an arm made up of not shadows, but like of, you know how like vapor is, how like is very mist, how mist works is very misty, is very that. That's how his arm is. It's very like misty, very like flowy. It's not really there, but it looks like an arm, and there's no light, like no light passes through it, so it's a pitch black mist that's just on his arm now. And then now he hears void in his ear constantly. And from here on in the story, he becomes from a hero. Again, he is a hero. He is the protagonist, but he's not a good hero. Where, for instance, let's take an example being Deku from My Hero Academia. He's a good hero. He will save the innocent. He will go out of his way to try and like reason with people, try and look for a different solution that isn't straight up murder. Senko isn't. He has this he goes from, I talked about this, but he goes from compassionate, merciful, and a genuinely good person to a ruthless, merciless killer who will not hesitate to cut you down if you stand in his way. Because now his morals are completely gone. He won't kill you if you argue against him. He will just ignore you. But if you stand against him, even if you are a good person, even if you don't if there's this case in the story where I write where there's one person, he's fighting with this group of people. One person is basically forced to fight him. This person doesn't want to fight him. He never wanted to join this, but he was forced to join this like little group. And Senko's facing off everyone, Easy peasy, where is it? And he cuts down everyone. And then when he gets to this person that didn't want to fight, doesn't want to fight, and genuinely wants to go home, and just, he even throws a sword. The old Senko would have gave him mercy, would have said, hey, it's fine, go home, or they give him some sort of like talk. The new Senko cut him down, because to him, you, forced or not, you fight for the enemy, so you will be dealt like an enemy. And this is like, I want to put like in emphasize he's not a good person. He's a hero, sure. He saved his lands. The end of the story, he saved his land. So sure, he is a hero, but he's not a good person anymore. He threw away his morals and his compassion and mercy because he lost everything. So he could not care he couldn't care less about the people around him. Man, this playlist is making me sleepy. Sorry, guys. But let's see. What more can I talk about in Senko? Since I do want to have this about Beast Senko. I could probably talk about his friends, actually. No, I kind of want to talk about the side characters in a different video. Senko. What can I talk about Senko? Oh. I could talk actually. Yeah, I could talk about that. But, in my stories, well, three of them. There are three. I talked about this before, but Senko has his own story. There's another character called Soul has her own story, and then her his own story, her own story, and then Faith has his own story. They all take in terms of like a timeline, they all take place in around this. Well, Senko and Soul's timeline take place around the same time. Soul, when her story takes place, she's around 16 to 17. Senko, when his story takes place, he's around 16 to 15. And when Faith's story takes place, he's around 15 to 16. But Faith's story takes place, well, starts way after Senko and Soul's story have already ended. So at like by the time Faith's story starts, Senko and Soul are around their mid to early 30s, if not a bit older. So or they're a bit older on the they're a bit older compared to Faith. So Senko is Soul is the oldest, Senko is the second oldest, and then Faith is the youngest. But with Senko, I really want to empathize. Well, yeah, empathize that he is a broken man. He's lost everything. I want to create someone who threw away everything because he lost everything. He does he how where he's deep down, he wants to be a good person. He wants to be his old self, but he doesn't want to risk he doesn't want to risk losing again. I feel like that is his biggest fear. He doesn't want to risk losing someone who he's close around. There's one person he's close with in the like around the end of his story. Another kid he saved when he was like in the beginning of his story. So a kid he saved when he was still compassionate, merciful, and all that. Later on, this kid grows up and becomes a leader. He actually becomes the leader of the lands, and he's a very good leader. He's what Senko was always supposed to be: a kind, merciful leader who can be ruthless when the time needs it to be. And Senko is kind to him. He's the only person he actually talks with. He's the only person that he's kind with. Everyone else he either ignores or just doesn't care. It doesn't look like an eye. But even then, he tries to teach the kid that like his mercy is a weakness, even though his mother told him the exact opposite. But because he lost so much, because he lost his friends, he lost his lover, this person he loved, he doesn't want to have someone else go through the same pain, and he blames his mercy for his mistake, even though mercy itself isn't a weakness, it's a strength to like forgive your enemies. But because it bit him back in the ass, he blames himself for every single death that has happened to him, even though he shouldn't. He should learn and try and move on, but he just can't, which is really sad for him. And I want to make Senko this not sad, but this broken man who wanted to do better, wanted to do good, and wanted to be a man that his mom was proud of. But something he never learned, something he never faced, was that his mom was always proud of him. His mom would have been proud of him even if he did become a little bit more ruthless, because his father was exactly that. His father, even though his father is what he should have been, just like how the kid is now, a kind and merciful person who leads through bravery and compassion. But when the time needs it to be, when the time needs it to be, you can be ruthless. You can make the tough decisions. You can decide who lives and who dies. But Senko could never do that. And now we see him completely broken. He doesn't care anymore. He lost everything he cared about. I keep drawing the same eye. So that is Senko, and as boiled down as I could fit in, that Senko is he is a broken man. He's a not sad. Well, yeah, he is a sad man who tries to do his best, and he does get to meet with with Faith, and Faith reminds him very much of himself. He reminds himself. He reminds him. No, he reminds himself of. Does that make sense? Word, whatever. But he really does like Faith, where with Faith is that Faith shows Senko that mercy is a strength, that being merciful is not weak. Even though Senko's story is long finished at this point. At this point, it is all about Faith, because it is Faith's story at this point. But I do want Faith. I'll talk a little about it. But Faith, I want him to be a mix between Soul and Senko's story. Well, their mistakes into Faith. I'll talk more about it when I talk about Faith, but later. But yeah. And one thing with Senko, I want to give him a happy ending, but at the same time, I don't really want to, because giving him a happy ending wouldn't really fit. And yes, I understand. That is sad. You want to give your OCs a happy ending, but that's just doesn't how something. That's just how some things work. That's just how some things work. Where some characters don't get happy endings, and it sucks. And I feel really bad about not being able to give my first OC, the person who grew up with me, a happy ending. And I feel so bad about killing his everything. His friends, his family. He's completely alone until he meets with Faith, and then he has the kid, right? Sure, but he's more of a mentor to this kid. But he only gets an actual friend maybe later on, when in his, not even in his story, in a story of someone else's, which is just so sad, and it really pains me. But that's just how being a writer is. You gotta you just have to be brutal and cruel to your own OCs, and it sucks. I hope that I can make Senko but again, I want to flesh out his character more, his backstory, his powers specifically, and all that stuff. But yeah, I actually also want to make a quote. I want to give every main character and some very important characters quotes. Well, not quotes, but how an anime of a strong character has a quote. For instance, I think Gogeta, or no, I think it is Gogeta. I think Gogeta has the angel born in hell. That one goes absolutely hard. Two, that's such an awesome line. But I want to give every character a line of their own, right? With Senko, I think the line that would fit him would be a monster. No, yeah, no, yeah. It'd be a monster. A monster. Is that how you spell monster? No, is that an E? It's an E. A monster No. Yeah. A monster created in nothing. Oh my god. A monster created in nothing. I can't spell. What am I doing? A monster created in nothing, but a hero who saved everything? I think that's what I like. Again, work in progress, nothing set in stone. But it encapsulates him being a hero, but also being a monster. So sure, he's a hero, but he's a monster. People in the setting, people know him as a hero, but people also know him as a monster, as a terrifying person who you do not want to get involved with. So he is, even though he again he saved his lands. It's not. I'm not trying to make him be like, oh, he didn't do anything. He did. He saved. He himself saved his lands, but he also killed a lot of innocent people to get to do that. So, sure, a hero, but also a monster. But yeah, I'm getting really tired, so I'm gonna call it here. I hope you guys. Again, I'll probably from this. This was about everything I could talk about. Senko. His name could change. I'm thinking about changing his name a little bit. Maybe, who knows? I'll think about it. But yeah. Until then, if you could, if you really, or if you liked my content, drop a like, a maybe comment down something you want me to talk about, and subscribe to see where I go with all these, OCs and lore and everything I got in here. Oh God, drink water. Don't forget, hydrate is very important. But yeah, until then, I hope you guys have a good morning, a good afternoon, a good evening, and a good night because I am going to bed. Until the next time, guys, bye bye.